Hey everyone, welcome to another daily cinephile vlog. So I'm just going to drop some real quick thoughts on yet another recent movie. This is one that just premiered on Netflix. It's titled Good Grief. It's a film from Dan Levy. Everyone probably knows Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, which I saw a few episodes. I never did watch the entire series. I probably should get back to that at some point, but other than that, I don't know much about Dan Levy. The simple premise of this movie is that Dan Levy, as the main character, is suffering from his recent loss of his spouse, who's portrayed by Luke Evans. I knew the plot going in, so when I saw Luke Evans was playing his husband, I was a little disappointed because I was like, I like seeing Luke Evans in movies, and unfortunately, since I know he's about to die, I know I'm only getting very limited screen time. It's cool to see him in the movie. I just knew that it was going to be quick. As a year passes, Dan Levy actually learns some new information about his husband that he didn't know before, and in a turn of events decides to travel to Paris with his friends, and from there, just things happen, basically. I think that's where my biggest disappointment is with this movie. You know, at a certain point during the second act, I realized that they didn't really have a clear understanding of where they were going with everything. And that's fine, because it could have been a movie that was more vibes-based. You know, it's a movie about grief and sadness. And I thought they were going to put some more comedy in there, but they really take things seriously for the most part. And it is kind of meant to be a downer of a movie. That's not necessarily bad. It is a movie that is titled Good Grief, after all. But I guess with a title like that, I maybe expected there to be a little more dark comedy mixed in there, you know, with the subject matter of death and the loss of a spouse. I just thought there would be something, you know, maybe darkly humorous about it, but that never happens. For the most part, it's played pretty serious, and like I said, that can be fine. But once we get to the second act, I don't really know if the movie has an idea of where it's going. And I don't know if the vibes work enough for me, because with everything that's going on, just isn't all that interesting. It doesn't really follow an exact arc. And there's a lot of things that I feel are a big letdown. For instance, there's another person who was involved with the spouse before they died. And we end up meeting this person at some point, but it's done in a very anticlimactic way. And again, it just doesn't really know where to go with it. It adds some interesting tension, but not nearly as much tension as you would expect from a situation like this. The opening of the movie is actually really effective. You get an idea of the quirkiness of these characters and their group of friends, and, you know, getting an idea of this art scene that's in London. And as the movie goes on, you know, we see the funeral, and there's even a great performance by David Bradley, he's not in the movie a whole lot, but he has a really great scene where he's talking about his son passing away, and I actually think it's some really terrific acting from David Bradley, who, you know, like I said, very minimal screen time, but he makes a good impression. There's also a great comedic moment during the funeral that I was hoping would be filtered throughout the film, but it just doesn't end up happening. The characters have their discussions and they grow, and I guess it's just up to the viewer to decide if that's enough for the movie. Like I said, I think it's a movie that's built way more on the emotion of everything rather than the actual story. But for me, if they were able to mix a few more emotions in there and not make it such a downer of a movie, I think they could have made something that was a little more unique. For what it is, it feels sad and lacking in the humorous bits. There's things that are resolved in a very conventional manner that I just don't feel like the movie was setting itself up to be at the beginning. Honestly, I would give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. But let me know what you think of the movie if you catch it on Netflix, and thanks for watching.